Hello, how are you? It is the continuation to my previous video, so that I made previously, where I talked about how US should react to different conflicts at different parts in different parts of the world, because they might now be very jubilant about what is happening in Ukraine, because despite them sending any force or military to Russia, they are virtually winning the war in a way, at least for now. So basically, that strategy of theirs might not be successful in other parts of the world. So that was basically the previous video's crux. So that's the crux of the previous video that I earlier put out. Today it is basically the continuation, and today, after this video I'm going to make today's editorial part, and which will be something about economics and social issues. It is a geopolitical issue, mind you. So let me use my pointer here to drive home my points all the more perfectly. For its part, China is preparing for all eventualities. So China is basically was ready for what is coming. So the language being used by China today is among the harshest and most deep. So that is something which is called a wolf warrior diplomacy. What is it called? Wolf warrior diplomacy. Recently, India has been adopting this style. We have seen Mr. Jaishankar, our foreign minister, has been expressing his concern quite openly on big global forums. So this is a shift in our foreign policy, and that shift happened to Chinese foreign policy 5 years back, 5 to 10 years back, because they are now, one of the biggest powerhouse, right? Besides US. So alleging that the US is engaged in suppression and containment of China, it has warned if the US does not hit the brakes and continue to speed down the wrong path, no amount of guardrails can prevent the derailment, leading to conflict and confrontation. Chinese President Xi Jinping, for his part, has directly accused the US and Western countries of their all-round containment, encirclement, and suppression of China. So China are extremely cautious or they are actually putting it in a way that they feel that they are being encircled, which is not anyway. But the thing is they are concerned about two groups right now that is happening, or that is formed in the Indo-Pacific region, which they called Asia Pacific, but it is Indo-Pacific. So basically what is happening, there are two groups. One is name is Quad, which India is a part of. Besides US, America, Australia, and Japan. So this is a Quad grouping, and another grouping is AUKUS. What is it called? AUKUS. These two groupings are actually, kind of putting a lot of pressure on China. Quad is basically a economic grouping or economic cooperation, but AUKUS, this is more threatening to China, because this is a military cooperation between countries. Okay. So basically, Quad and AUKUS is something which China feels is basically for their insult. So इसको मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ. तो क्वाड और ऑकस जो फॉर्म किया हुआ है ना यूएस के मिलकर, यूएस बिकॉज लीड ही कर रहा है ये दो जो ग्रुपिंग है, तो ये फील करता है चाइना कि ये बेसिकली उसके इनसर्किल के लिए ही है. Many of these statements were made on the sidelines of the NPC held earlier this month with China's newly appointed foreign minister. What is his name? Newly appointed foreign minister of China, Queen Gang, openly accusing the US of attempting to encircle China through Indo-Pacific strategy, and they call it the Quad or AUKUS. They call it Asia's NATO, or Asia Pacific version of NATO, whose real purpose was to encircle China. Chinese criticism tends to be usually obtuse and seldom direct, but it has been unusually forthright this time. So that is something which I've been mentioning here. Ki unusually forthright, like China will getting ready for a direct confrontation with the US, so as to effectively thwart a US effort to restore storming affairs. What they're saying is that, I was saying that before 1990s, Chinese were extremely cautious about their words, right? They were not direct, they were not forthright, they were not, harsh, or they were not extremely, what to say, sharp in their criticism. They used to criticize, China, USA, but in a very softer, very measured terms. But now the total, due to arrival of wolf warrior diplomacy and China becoming the power that they are now, so they are now adopting a completely different approach what they used to adopt. In some yesteryears. So the basic approach is to thwart, to prevent US effort to restore. I mean, China is basically saying, look, US, you are not a world power who can dictate all others what they do, right? So China is basically challenging US hegemony right now in the world, right? That's the thing. Now, again coming back to the slide, adding greased मतलब है fuel है ना, जो we call it कि आग में घी डाल दो. So English में क्या है, adding fuel to the fire. So this grease is fuel to the fire, nothing else. Adding grease to such concern is a Chinese leader Xi Jinping's call to delegates attending the recent NPC to maximize their national strategic capability in a bid to systematically upgrade the country's overall strength and safeguard its strategic interests and realize its strategic objectives. While Taiwan may remain the flashpoint means a point from where basically potentially a war or a confrontation can start. While Taiwan may remain the flashpoint in the Indo-Pacific, further aggravated by the repeated visit in recent weeks of top US military leaders to Taiwan, newer tensions are adding fresh grease, that I mentioned, fuel, to possibilities of a conflict to other regions in the Indo-Pacific. US claims in the wake of the Ukraine conflict of defeating all comers would instigate more tension that lead to a conflict which comes perilously close to an open confrontation culminating in a war. So basically what they are saying here is that Chinese wants to maximize their national strategic capabilities, okay, and basically by that they want to upgrade their military so that they can safeguard their strategic interest, okay, and they're chuffed, they're miffed because of one particular reason. Let me tell you this. A particular region, which is a country we believe, is Taiwan, okay, and Taiwan is a semiconductor hub country. Okay, you see the Foxconn, right, is a Taiwanese company that set up their factory in Gujarat. So this Taiwan is something which is an extremely touchy point for the Chinese. And what happened in Nancy Pelosi, the speaker of the US Congress, recently visited Taiwan. So making the relation between Chinese and US all the more bitter right now. So, and that's why they're threatening US all much more, I would say. So while Taiwan may remain the flashpoint, so it's why it is aggravated, I believed, I have mentioned here, na, further aggravated means all, I mean more, खराब होता चला जाए, मतलब degraded more, right, by the repeated visit in recent weeks of top US military leaders to Taiwan. Newer tensions are adding fresh grace to possibilities of a conflict in other regions in the Indo-Pacific. So it is basically, the author is saying, it is right now restricted to Ukraine, but it is not too far away when we can see that other region of the world may come to a conflict-like situation, like what is happening in the Ukraine. So that is the thing, because there are enough flashpoints, enough causes of starting a war. So that's the thing. The danger of provoking a world war. Although, I mean, it is for everyone's interest not to start any war, any world war. I mean, forget about world war, any war with any country. All wars start with a misunderstanding. That you must believe. I mean, World War I, II, whatever happened, it started with a misunderstanding of things, because they did not know what's the intention of the other party, right? The US success in assisting Ukraine to withstand the Russia's offensive and incidentally undermining Russia's image of being a kind of superpower in Europe appears to be encouraging the US and certain other Western power to redefine. I just want you to focus here. Redefine the global power equation. So it is a kind of a watershed. It could be a watershed moment. It could be this war may redefine the global power equation. It might change Russia being a superpower. We don't know what is happening, and seek a return to the post 1945 in world affairs. After Europe, the target appears to be China, and that's why China is very fretting, very chastised about it. Because after Europe, they think that the target appears to be China. It would, however, to be a gross misreading of the situation if the US were to attempt the containment of China at this time, the flush with its success in Europe, because China is a different kettle of fish, as we call it, and provoking retaliation elsewhere, thus paving the way for a new world war, new world country. It could turn out to be a tragedy of gigantic proportions. Basically, what is the gist of this? Let me explain it, okay? What happened after the war, World War II, that ended in 1945? There are different reforms that took place that time. One is that economic front, is that World Bank Group, IMF, right? After Bretton Woods Conference. And military front, so that to demilitarize or to kind of maintain peace and stability in the world, United Nations were formed, headquartered New York. There are particular one body of United Nations called United Nations Security Council, where 5 countries are a permanent member, including what are they? They are China, US, Russia, UK, and France. Right? These 5 countries are the permanent member. But now the thing is, if any of these 5 countries, are doing something extremely bad to another country, who is holding them responsible? That's the thing. That's the point. Right now, basically, Russia is starting the war, as we all know, as a matter of fact. So, who is holding Russia responsible? Because all the other countries, whatever they try, one single veto will end or will stop all the proceedings against the aggressor. In this case, it's Russia. So basically, we are stuck in a limbo here. So there is a need of, a reform of this international organization. First of all, we should know. And that is being mentioned here after Europe, and that's why, and see this. And another thing that has been mentioned here is that it would be a gross misreading of the situation if the US were to attempt the containment of China at this time. Because the author is worried about China starting to get more aggressive now. Okay, because they feel they have to assert themselves. And the only way to assert themselves is to challenge the United States, to face them to their eyes. Okay, and by doing so, they might create another instability in the world. Still we are, the world order, what is happening? After the war, we see inflation, right? Means the price rise, right? All over the country, not only here in India, everywhere, inflation is getting worse by the day. Because, there are many reasons of inflation, but basically this war has actually brought in supply side bottleneck. There are many reasons. Supply side के लिए हो सकता है, demand side के लिए हो सकता है, right? But basically supply side के लिए होता है तो demand ज़्यादा है, supply से ज़्यादा है, that's why cost और जो price है वो increase होता है. और ये एक सस्टेन पीरियड के लिए है, ये एक दिन के लिए नहीं है, एक सस्टेन पीरियड के लिए एक जो टॉलरेंस लिमिट है उसके ऊपर है. जैसे आरबीआई के टॉलरेंस लिमिट के हिसाब से 6% है, एनीवे, तो उसके हिसाब से ऊपर है इंडिया के लिए है, अदर कंट्री के लिए. जैसे फॉर जिम्बाब्वे इट्स फॉर डिफरेंट रीजन, नॉट फॉर हियर, बट 40% है उसका हाइपर इन्फ्लेशन. एनीवे, द थिंग इज इन्फ्लेशन एक प्रॉब्लम है. देन जो सेंट्रल जो बैंक्स हैं, जैसे इंडिया के लिए आरबीआई है, तो सेंट्रल के बैंक में क्या कर रहा है कि जो रेपो रेट है, जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है, उसको इंक्रीज कर रहा है. यदि रेट ऑफ इंक्रीज हो जाए तो ज़्यादा लोग तो इन्वेस्टमेंट कम हो जाएगा ना, बिकॉज लोन विल बी कॉस्टली। सो क्या हो जाएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट कम हो जाएगा। इन्वेस्टमेंट यदि कम हो जाएगा तो क्या हो जाएगा बोलो, ग्रोथ कम हो जाएगा, ग्रोथ खराब हो जाएगा। ग्रोथ यदि टू सक्सेसिव क्वार्टर खराब नेगेटिव आता जाए तो क्या हो जाएगा, रिसेशन आ जाएगा। रिसेशन से और भी ज़्यादा गहरा होता चला जाएगा तो डिप्रेशन हो जाएगा। और एंड नॉट ओनली हियर बट ऑल्सो ऑल दिस रीजन इज एक्सट्रीमली डिट्रीमेंटल टू द इकोनॉमी एज। सो ये जो है, एक तो है वर्ल्ड का अभी जो वॉर है उसका इफेक्ट है, ये सब कुछ इकोनॉमिक इम्पैक्ट है, लाइफ का इम्पैक्ट है, मतलब कितना लोग मारा गया है, राइट, ऑल दिस ट्रेजेडी दैट आर हैपनिंग। सो दैट्स वाई टू स्टार्ट अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इन अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड विल बी अ completely a tragic situation for the world, and world must stay away from it as far as it possible. So that's the thing today. I mentioned all these things here. Let me now end the video. Again, please subscribe to my channel. I would upload more videos in the future. I mean, today only I can upload one video that would be about economics and social issues. And before that, I might, engage with you. If you don't know about some basic terminologies of economics, I will, specifically explain to those terminologies, and then go ahead with the editorial. Anyway, please keep supporting me. Subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and keep liking my videos. Thank you.